boy Colin Cowherd.
Been bad and bad. Well, the offensive line. No, it's actually rated 14th in the NFL. Burrows is rated significantly worse this year. In 2 years, he completes 59%, has a passer rating under 80, 24 TDs and 21 picks. It's bad. Justin Herbert started first game as a pro. He told he was starting 5 minutes before the game. His offensive line that year was ranked dead last in the league, and his coach was uncreative and got fired. He put up huge numbers. His offensive line is significantly worse as a rookie than the Bears this year. Andrew Luck's first 2 years, 11-5, 11-5. His O-line was much worse. Joe Burrow's this year is ranked 28th. Last year it was atrocious, and he got to a Super Bowl. You can't use the O-line anymore. It ain't great, but it's not Herbert rookie year bad. It's not Cincinnati last 3 years bad. It's not close to Andrew Luck bad.
All right. I want to stop right there real quick because I don't watch a lot of Chargers games, nor do I watch lots of Bengals games. Or what was the other quarterback you brought up? Even the Colts, start to finish, like I watched the Bears.
It's not even that. He brings up Joe Burrow and Andrew Luck. We got to remember that Andrew Luck was a generational talent when he came
that's
in.
what I was going to say too. He's like cherry picking. Like he didn't bring up Peyton Manning or Drew Brees or like other guys who were great who weren't just amazing right off the jump. So I think he's
Josh Allen.
Yes, he's cherry picking the guys that he wants like to fit his in. And like the Bears O-line looks good on paper because he runs so much.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. And like he was saying too with like the Justin Herbert thing, like I get it, I understand. But he also had a very healthy Keenan Allen, because Justin Herbert was a rookie, 3 years ago? 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So Keenan Allen 3 years ago, a very healthy Keenan Allen 3 years ago is probably top 5 wide receiver in the NFL.
Top 10 for sure. You know what I mean? Even if you say he's not top 5, we'll say you can't argue he's top 10, which is amazing.
Talent-wise.
Same with Joe Burrow. Before he had Chase, he had T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Those are two very good wide receivers to have.
And he still had Joe Mixon.
Yes, and that was when he was hurt too. When he had his good season, he had Jamar Chase. He had T. Higgins. Like we don't have any of those guys. They also had comparable defenses, which also play a part of it. It's where like they're not giving up a shit ton of points where the other team's in pass rush mode the whole rest of the game. You're just getting your ass kicked. Like there's factors he's leaving out where it's like, yeah, the Bears had a good O-line because we ran the ball so well. And Justin Fields is so hard to sack. If he couldn't run like he could, he probably would have got sacked like 15 or 20 more times. If not that, like if you're, like I said, then we know this as Bears fans, we're watching the fucking game. If he couldn't run, it would have been terrible because he would have got sacked, like I said, at 20 more times. If I had to guess,
we were talking about it too before, with the offensive line during the season and how the numbers are kind of juiced because while he does have the 14th best quote unquote offensive line in the league, when he holds on to the ball too much, he's trying to create, or that internal clock is, going through his head pretty quickly because he's used to getting his fucking face pummeled in.
Yes.
And you can't measure those metrics just based off of taking a look at some numbers that PFF puts out and says, this is the 14th best offensive line in the league. Well, when you're watching it, eye test wise, it is
you could
not
tell,
the
yes.
14th best.
Joe Burrow doesn't. The Bengals don't make it to, a drive away from going to the Super Bowl and playing in the Super Bowl year before with a 28th worth line. There's factors that go in. Joe Burrow, like I said, I was talking, I don't know if it was in the last podcast, but me and you were talking where he said he takes sacks on third down. If it's like, if he can't get the first down, he's like, who cares? We're punting, doesn't matter. Like, it's not taking me out of field goal range. I don't care. I'll take sacks all the time on third down if the pass isn't there. So we'll get back into it real quick. But like I said, he's leaving out factors and he's cherry picking quarterbacks. There's plenty 100%. Of quarterbacks who sucked year one and were bad year two and finally got up out of it when their teams got better.
These guys won a lot. I mean, a lot. And many of their coaches. Andrew Luck's got fired. Justin Herbert's got fired. It's not like, well, the weapons. Oh, the weapons. Bears have good backs and an excellent young tight end. They could use another receiver. But again, his protection is better than anybody wants to acknowledge. And whereas with Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, I saw tremendous, staggering growth year 1 to year 2, I didn't with Fields. He's more YouTube star, sensational plays, but the little stuff, footwork, accuracy, I think you have to consider it.
He's such a clown.
One more season of average.
Yeah. Before he gets into his 4 reasons, which sparked me to go find the whole video. Like I said, again, he's not a Bears fan. He's clearly not watching games. He clearly makes strides. There was no strides to be made. What did he start 4 games last year? 5 games? And he got
I understand.
The first one he got killed.
I know it's his job to, create, a take like this. But this is the same Colin Cowherd that a couple months ago
was gassing him up.
Yes, 100%. So I get it. It's the sports journalist ultimatum. You know what I'm saying? They have to go with the hot and cold takes and stuff like that.
And I don't want to see Justin Fields be a run so much. But hate it or love it, it's not just that easy. You can't just write off him rushing for 1,000 yards. If it was so easy, everyone would just fucking do it. So it's not that easy. Yes, he has to, pick his spots. And like I said, we need to be more around 600 to 700 rushing yards and things like that. But he doesn't take a lot of big hits, to be fair. Most of his big hits he takes from sacks.
Yes.
But he's very good at sliding and getting down, and I do like that about that. But I did want to say he's being clowns. Of course, fucking Justin Fields made strides, and he barely played the first year. He started 5 games. He came in relief in a couple. There was nothing to build upon, and if there was, he definitely was better. He was a fucking, almost shattered Mike Vick and Lamar Jackson, or he did shatter Mike Vick's record. He almost beat Lamar Jackson. If he doesn't get hurt, he easily beat Lamar Jackson's record. So it's you can't keep discounting the running. I don't want to see that forever, but
he's talking about tight ends and running backs, right? 2 good backs. They were the number 1, rushing team in the NFL. Okay, so what's his argument there? And then he says
David Montgomery is a mid of the. I like David Montgomery. He's our guy, but he's top 15. What is he? The 15th best back. And Cole Kmet, again, I like him as well. He's one of our guys. What is he? The 15th best tight end? He ain't top 10. So I don't know where this excellence is coming from.
Those guys that he mentions, talking about weapons, they're not field stretchers. What's Justin Fields going to do? It's not like Cole Kmet is fucking Travis Kelce, and he's going to have
a field stretcher, or he doesn't even get separation at all. I like Cole, but that's the one thing he does. He doesn't get separation.
I don't understand where he's coming from with these weapons thing, because wide receivers are the ones that get you.
Yeah, 11. Joe Burrow's got Chase, T. Higgins, and fucking Tyler Boyd, Hayden Hurst, Joe Mixon. We got David Montgomery, fucking Mooney, Claypool, and Kmet. Stop it.
Yes.
Yeah. And even Andrew Luck, he had T.Y. Hilton. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
T.Y. Hilton in his prime was very good wide receiver, top 10 every year type of guy.
To bad, and you'll get nothing for him. Secondly, the Bears have a defensive coach and a defensive culture, and they didn't draft him. He's not their guy. Third, Chicago probably won't have the number 1 pick for a while. I don't think they'll be good, but you're not going to be in this territory again. Use the opportunity. And 4, you had Khalil Mack and Roquan Smith, and you couldn't win games. You think Will Anderson is going to come in and turn the franchise around? In an offensive pivoting league where it's hard to go on a 10-game losing streak, in a year the Packers were down and the Vikings and Lion defenses were atrocious. They lost 10 straight games. I think you have to consider calling Atlanta and saying, we'll give you Justin Fields, give us your 8th pick, go get Bryce Young, and then go get the 2nd or 3rd best edge rusher. I like Justin Fields, but I've never, ever thought he was Trevor Lawrence. I don't think he's close to Caleb Williams or Drake May. I don't think he's an Andrew Luck. I don't think he's a guy that can succeed if the circumstances are great. He's more Trey Lance. He'll work if he gets the right stuff. And I don't know if Chicago will have the right stuff. But all you have to do is go to PFF and look at O-lines. His is middle of the pack. Some of those young guys they drafted ended up being pretty good. They spent a lot of draft capital on the O-line, and a lot of those guys were starting and pretty good. And they've got capable backs and a top tight end, and I think a good offensive coordinator. Yes, they could use other receivers. Nobody disputes that. But the numbers for Fields have not been great. If he struggles next year, you'll get nothing for him. Now you could probably get the 8th pick. I mean, if Carr goes to Carolina and Jimmy goes to Tampa, you think Arthur Blank, owner of the Falcons, wants to sit there and be awful again? I don't think so. Not like I know Arthur Blank well, but I don't think so. I think it's something you absolutely have to consider. This organization wasn't winning with Roquan Smith. It wasn't winning with Khalil Mack. You weren't posting playoff wins. What's Will Anderson going to do? Good player. He'd be a great finishing piece for a young, if Kansas City could get him at the end of the first round, it'd be great for them. They don't have a lot of big needs. They have Chris Jones inside and Frank Clark. But to build around, let's just be a good player in an offensive-leaning sport. J-Mac with the news.
All right. Again, I don't agree. Like, I just feel like they put up a bunch of trigger words and they're like going to rant about this shit because it's like just, I don't know if hypocritical is the word, but just going back and forth. Like, we do not have a good tight end. I like Cole Kmet, but he's like, no, but what will we get for him in a trade? A 5th, a 4th? Like, he's not good. He's not TJ Hawkinson. He's not any of the guys. He's just a quality tight end who can block and go out and run routes, and he'll have a nice long career. For now, I hope he takes stride. He has been getting better every year, so maybe. And I wrote a couple things down, like Drake May, Caleb Williams, like these guys having fun, like Justin Fields, like what bar are they judging these guys on? Justin Fields played in college. He was better than both of those guys. If they're like, I'm fine if you think Caleb Williams is good, fine. What bar are you judging on? Justin Fields, when he was in college, was better than them. What makes you think they're going to come into the league and like, oh, they're for some reason, whatever they're doing is going to translate, but Justin's didn't translate right away. Like, I don't like that. But I do. The one thing I do agree is we do have a middle of the pack O-line. But again, it's deceptive because he's leaving out like we're middle of the pack because we're such good at running the ball and so bad at passing that it comes back to the middle. Like
I said, we were the #1 running team in the league.
Yeah, of course. So that's all. And we ran the ball a lot. So that's going to keep sack numbers down, keep these things down. Justin runs a lot. It's like those are another thing that keeps sack numbers down. It's just deceptive. Anybody who watched all the Bears games, at times, not even at times, every single game, our interior O-line was getting destroyed. Justin Fields is just faster than defensive tackles. So they couldn't get to him. But he was right about our O-line. I think we did draft a few guys who are competent NFL players.
Oh, absolutely. Braxton Jones did a really good job at the left tackle spot, but the shit with him, you know what I'm saying? Like you brought up the whole Cole Kmet thing, saying he's an elite tight end. Like what? What?
Yeah, that's just like some shit to say to like just to make Justin look bad. Like he's not elite. I wouldn't even call him good. I think he's slightly above average. I think he's a nice young player, but he's not tight. He's like a tight end of old. Like in today's game, he's not that good of a tight end. He doesn't get separation. He's not a mismatch nightmare. We talked about this before. Anybody, linebacker can guard him, corner can guard him, safety can guard him. Everybody can guard him. Like, you know what I mean? He's not getting any separation.
That's why a name that the Bears need to target is Evan Ingram.
Yeah, like
free agency. That would be nice.
It's just really like Evan Ingram's just a wide receiver that, you know what I mean? He's a matchup nightmare. You put him on the inside and linebackers can't guard him. But sorry to interrupt you. I just don't think any of these incoming guys are better prospects than Justin Fields. Like, and so like, he's like, oh, don't get Will Anderson and Justin Fields, get Bryce Young and Brian Breeze. Like, what? That's gonna be better. Like, we're gonna win with that. Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't understand. Like,
another thing that got me upset. He was talking about the Bears not winning games with Khalil Mack and Roquan Smith. I mean, was he not around in 2018.
Yes, we're the best defense in the league, and Mr. Trubisky, we carried Mr. Trubisky. Like, yes, again, he's just and Roquan. We won those games. Like they work hand in hand. We got to have a quarterback hand those guys. So yeah, I think it was a lot of hyperbole to make him look bad, and also, like I said, he cherry picked quarterbacks. Not all quarterbacks were great right off the rip. Like Brett Favre wasn't amazing to start. Peyton Manning had his ups and downs. Drew Brees, Derek Carr, fucking, you know what I mean? The list you could pick, you know what I mean? Almost all of them. Like they struggle to start. Justin, like we talked about before, has many, many things he needs to work on. Colin brought up the little things, footwork, short passes, check downs. Yeah, plenty of things, but I think he's throwing a lot of shade. And I don't think maybe Caleb Williams, but besides Caleb Williams, I don't think the kid from Kentucky, Stroud, Bryce Young, or Drake May are better prospects than Justin Fields anyway. So, like I said, maybe Caleb Williams. And even then, it's like, how are you certain his game's going to trend? Like, if you don't like Ohio State quarterbacks, like our USC quarterbacks, any even better? Like, fucking Carson Palmer, kind of. And he had a stacked team. But yeah, Colin's a fucking idiot. He has been gassing Justin Fields up all year now just to shit on him right before the draft. I think it's just going to be they're the number one pick. It's a precarious situation to be in because usually when you're the worst team in the league,
you need a quarterback.
The Jags were in it, but it was pretty clear cut. They kind of blamed their whole season on Urban Meyer, and they just had like a roster full of talent, so they could just go best available. The Bears need to change their organization with this pick. The Jags just needed to pick the best available and the players that they had already drafted the last few years to step up and be quality. The Bears are talentless. And it's weird to say that because I didn't think Pace did that bad of a job drafting, but just looking at the roster, just like nothing there. We got nothing to look forward to. We got a couple young guys that we just drafted on defense. We got no pass rushers. We got no wide receivers. We got an excellent tight end. That's it. But
according to Colin Cowherd.
But like I said, even Dave Montgomery, I like him, but he's not. He's a middle of the pack running back. Khalil Herbert, again, middle of the pack running back. These guys are just hard nosed. You know what I mean? All those buzz catchwords, gritty, all that shit. They just get the job done, all that type of shit.